There are 5 different traps that can exist in your life only if you allow them. These traps will leave you tired, anxious, without peace, and just overall frustrated or just feeling stuck in your life, and you don't have to stay there. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of them, which is the consistency trap. And this may shake you up a little bit, but I'm telling you that consistency is not all that is cracked up to be. So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the signs, the causes, the effects. And as always, I'm going to be giving you an action step on how to either break free from this consistency trap or how to avoid it altogether so that way you can craft your dream lifestyle and create generational freedom. So if that interests you, let's get going. This is the space where you are saying yes to your biggest goals in a world full of idle dreamers by empowering your identity, beliefs, and abilities. Prepare yourself, because to create the reality we want, we say no to excuses, who cares to other people's thoughts, feelings, or expectations. And we say enough to the things that are holding us back from our greatness. It's time to set the table to do the work, to become successful, fulfilled, and free. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Trevón Jr., and I'm super excited for today's episode where we are going to be talking about the consistency trap. And I'm really excited about this episode because this is going to change the entire way that you view consistency. But before we get into it, if you could do me a favor, if you can press like on this episode, if you can comment, if I say something really dope that stands out to you, if you can subscribe to the channel or leave me a review if you're listening to me on any podcast platform that is of your choice. Also, if you could share this episode, just because there are people, I'm telling you, there are people, whether you know it or not, that really have purpose, they have passions, and they really want to live the life of their dreams. They have a goal, they have a mission, and you sharing this episode could be the very thing that they need. And we're talking about people that you love, people that you cherish, people that you believe in, and people that you truly support. So do me that favor and share this episode and like, comment, and subscribe. Also, do me a favor and go to craftyourdream.org and check out our Dream Society. I don't want to just be boxed in the category of just the podcaster that you listen to every week. I really want to help you. I practically want to help you craft your dream lifestyle. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but I really want to help you along in that process. And the Dream Society is one of the ways in which I do that with my coaching. Because, you know, one of the things that you can talk to anyone that's successful, they got successful because they had support. They got successful because they had accountability, and they got successful because they were given the right information or they went and got the information. And that's pretty much everything that you get with the Dream Society. So if you're somebody that really wants to go to the next level in your life, whether that be in business, your personal life, whatever realm purpose that your goal is in, check out the Dream Society. And if you really want to go to the next level, you can check out some of my personal coaching, my high achieving, high performance coaching that is also there on the website. But you can look at all that at craftyourdream.org. All right, you can either go to the website yourself, or if you're watching on YouTube, just go look in the description below me for that. Now, without further ado, let's get into this episode where we are talking about the consistency trap. And the reason why I'm so excited, I said it earlier, but, you know, consistency is one of those things that people view as the end all be all. Well, I just need to be consistent. That's the way I'll go to the next level. I just have to be consistent. Well, I can tell you right now, you are consistent. It's just a matter of, do you know what you're consistent in or not? It speaks to the law of polarity. And what I mean by that is I'll give examples. You're either very consistent in showing up for yourself, or you're very consistent in not showing up for yourself. You're either very consistent in going to the gym, or you're very consistent in not going to the gym. One more. You're either very consistent in waking up early, or you're very consistent in not waking up early. You following me? I hope so. Understand, you already are consistent. It's just a matter of, are you aware of what you're consistent in? And is intention involved in what you're consistent in? Okay? And so I want to start this episode by just giving a working definition of what the consistency trap is. Okay? And I came up with this, but I think it'll be really applicable and really will just bring it right to your life so that way you can really start changing some things around. All right. And the definition is that the consistency trap is making consistent decisions that do not lead to consistent growth. I'm going to say it one more time for you. The consistency trap is making consistent decisions that do not lead to consistent growth. All right. The goal should be growth. And what I mean by that practically, I'll give an example. If your goal is to get stronger, your goal is to get more fit, and you go to the gym, and while you are on the journey to fitness, you're on the journey to becoming stronger, you hit a record, let's say you hit a PR of benching 135 pounds, right? You got 45s on each side. And that's a benchmark for you, right? You've never done it before. That's great. And you remain consistent in benching 135 pounds, but you stay there. You don't go up in weight. You just stay at 135 pounds. Are you actually going to continuously get stronger if you stay at 135 pounds? Well, the answer is no. If you just stay consistent at every single time you do bench, right, and you just always go 145 on each side, that's it. You're not going to get stronger. You're just going to get really good at lifting 135 pounds on the bar. And that is an example of what the consistency trap is. And the same is true for your life. You need to make sure that with the decisions that you're making, the consistent decisions that you're already making, you want to make sure that they're actually leading you to growth. And so back to the gym example, you want to make sure that when you are putting weight on the bar, that once you have gotten to a place where you're strong enough to handle that 135, that you're going up. You're going up to 145, 155, 165, 175, however, you decide to do it in the gym. But like I said, it's the same is true for your life. All right. So if you're very consistent in waking up at 7 and you're able to get a certain amount done after waking up at 7 and you want more, well, start waking up at 6:30. Once you master that, go to 6 o'clock. You want to continuously make sure that you're making consistent decisions that lead you to growth. Because at the end of the day, there's a ceiling on every consistent decision, every habit that you have. Even the greatest training habits that you have, there are certain habits that are for growth. There are certain habits that allow you to just start your day. But we're talking about the habits that you're consistent in, but that you need so that way you can start making 6 figures in your life. We're talking about the habits that you need so that way you can actually, start feeling free in your life. We're talking about the habits that will have you go from reacting to situations to responding to situations in a mild manner fashion, right? But that's basically what we're talking about. And in order for you to truly go to the next level, you have to make consistent decisions that stimulate growth. So you don't want to be caught in the consistency trap. All right. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the signs. All right. I'm going to start with the signs of the consistency trap. And these are very practical, very obvious. The first sign of the consistency trap is feelings bored. So when you kind of feel bored with your life, when you kind of feel bored with whatever the habit is, with whatever consistent decision that you're already making, when you start feeling bored and you start not really feeling challenged, I'm telling you, you're in the consistency trap. Just because if you're really taking on new challenges and you have the right target, then you're always taking on a challenge that is allowing you to grow. And that growth is not going to allow you to feel bored. You're not going to feel bored if you're always taking on new challenges and winning and conquering those challenges. All right. That's the first sign. Now, the second sign is that you're not seeing a consistent level of growth. As I said before, the goal is growth. The goal is growth. The goal is not just to be able to do something every single day for the rest of your life, because there is a cap. There is a limit on what that consistent decision can serve you with. So you want to make sure that you're making the proper tweaks and everything like that, so that way you can either get out of the consistency trap or you can completely avoid it altogether. Make sure that you are staying dynamic. That's what I like to call it. You're staying dynamic with your goals. You're staying dynamic with your habits. You're staying dynamic with your routines, your patterns, and your mental talk to yourself. You want to make sure that you're always saying the right things that just help you get to the next level. You're always making the proper tweaks. Just that way it stimulates growth. And when you're not seeing that consistent level of growth, I'm telling you, that is a sign of the consistency trap. Now, I'm going to get into the causes now. All right. The causes of the consistency trap. I mentioned it a little bit, but one of the main causes is just lacking clear intention and purpose behind a habit. not having a clear target as to why you're doing it, having the wrong target, right? I use the example of the gym, and I'll just stick with that probably for the rest of this episode. But when you think about the goal, if the goal is to be able to lift 135 pounds, you go at that goal very differently if the goal is, well, I want to get as strong as possible, right? Those are two different goals that will have you operate in two different ways, one of which has a limit, the other of which is infinite. Okay. And you want to make sure that the goals that you have and the habits that you put in place to accomplish those goals they all have a clear intention and they all have a purpose so that you're always going to continuously move forward. Once again, if you're the person where your goal is to lift or bench 135 pounds and that's it, well, you're gonna get it, right? You're gonna do what's necessary to get there, but then you're gonna reach the goal, and then it's like, well, what's next? All your consistency led to a period, as opposed to consistency. If your goal is to get strong, be as strong as you can be, that consistency is going to lead to growth for the rest of your life. Two different things, two different scenarios and everything like that. But it starts with getting clear with your intention and purpose with all of your habits. Okay. And another cause, and this ties into it, is not setting new, bigger, and more challenging targets. Okay. If your goal is to become as strong as you can possibly be, you are going to be setting new targets for yourself. At benching 135 pounds is going to only be like step one of the process if you want to become as strong as you want to be, as opposed to the person whose goal is to only bench 135 pounds, and that's it. Once again, period, comma. You understand what I'm saying? Because when it comes to you living the dream, your dream lifestyle, you want to continue. That's a continuous pursuit. You want to keep learning, and you need to make sure that you're making those consistent decisions that lead to the growth that you need, because there's only the limits that I'm talking about when it comes to these consistent decisions are only going to result in a better version of you, but it still might not be the version that your dream requires. The version that your dream requires, the version of you that your dream requires, is a version of you that can only be brought out if you continuously set new challenging goals for yourself, new challenging targets that basically bring out of you things that you didn't even know, talents that you didn't know, skills that you didn't know, habits that you didn't know that you could do. But if you put yourself in the consistency trap, you're never going to discover who you truly are. And so you really want to make sure that you have clear intention and purpose with the habits that you have, but you are also setting new, bigger, and more challenging targets as you go. Now, you may be listening to me and you're like, well, I think I'm doing all of that, but that sounds like a lot. Like, how do I really know the difference? First off, go to craftyourdream.org, sign up for the Dream Society, and we'll talk about it because we go in depth on all of this type of stuff. But I want to talk to you about the effects, all right? Because you need to figure this out. If this is confusing to you, this is something you need to figure out. And if you can't figure it out on your own, get help. Hire a coach. I'd love to help you, but you need to hire somebody. Get somebody to help you so that you're not falling in the consistency trap. Because if you are in the consistency trap, one, as an effect, it's just going to keep you in the idle dreamer syndrome. All right. I said it earlier. It's just going to leave you frustrated. It's going to leave you stuck. It's going to leave you anxious. And it's going to just leave you with regret. You're going to feel like there's more to your life. You're going to end up feeling as though you should have done more to figure it out. And why wait? Why wait? You have so much life left. There's so much life in front of you, and you don't want to waste this opportunity just because you didn't know, or you didn't want to, pay for a coach, or you didn't want to go read a book, or you didn't want to sit and watch that YouTube video, or whatever the case may be, that could potentially be your answer out of the consistency trap, or any of the 5 traps that I will be talking about in this podcast. So that's one of the things that are the effects of the consistency trap, is that you basically stay in the idle dreamer syndrome, where you're frustrated, tired, anxious, just not in a good place. And I don't want you to live that way. So please do whatever you can to get out of the consistency trap. Please, please, please. All right. Now, as always, I'm going to end with an action step, because I don't want to just give you guys a whole bunch of cool information and kind of just leave you with, well, what do I do now? Here's an action step for you. I want you to figure out how to challenge yourself for growth. All right. Figure out how to challenge yourself with growth. Now, this kind of ties into, you've heard me talk about how to become valuable. And you do that through mastering your skills and gaining knowledge. And That's pretty much how you are able to challenge yourself. How can you challenge yourself in your consistent decisions to master your skills? How can you challenge yourself in your consistent decisions to gain knowledge? That is how you're able to get out of the consistency trap, by figuring out, okay, how do I challenge myself even more? How do I make this harder on myself? Because you're able to do it. You got to the level you're at now because you had to overcome some challenges, and not just challenges that were external, but challenges like there was a reason in which you are at where you're at today. And so I'm asking you to simply just figure out how you challenge you. Figure out how to challenge yourself for growth. All right. And I'm telling you that when you do that, you will begin the process to not only becoming the best version of yourself, but you're going to begin the process to creating your dream lifestyle. You're going to begin the process to creating generational freedom, which changes everything around you, creates an amazing legacy for yourself, just makes you feel good about life. Just the way in which you live your life is different. The way you view life and respond to life is different. And that's what you do when you actually make the constant decision, when you make the consistent decision to challenge yourself, when you make the consistent decision for growth. You won't find yourself in the consistency trap, but you'll find yourself extremely happy. So just for a complete wrap up on this episode, that the consistency trap, I'll read you the definition one more time, is making consistent decisions that do not lead to consistent growth. The signs of the consistency trap is not seeing consistent levels of growth, whether you're feeling stuck, whether you're feeling anxious, whether you're feeling just frustrated with where you are, you feel like you should be doing more. Those are signs of the consistency trap. Causes of the consistency trap is lacking clear intention and purpose behind your habits and not setting new, bigger, and more challenging goals and targets. The effects is that it basically keeps you in the idle dreamer syndrome, which, as I mentioned before, just leaves you frustrated, leaves you tired, leaves you unmotivated, and you're just bored. And an action step that I want you to take so that way you can go to the next level in your life is that I want you to find new ways to challenge yourself for growth. All right. So again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Stay tuned next week. Like I said, go to craftyourdream.org to check out the Dream Society, so that way you can really get in depth and really get tools, so that way you can break out of these 5 different traps. I'm going to get into the next trap next week of things that just hold you back. So I look forward to sharing that with you. But as always, remember that your dream is possible as long as you are willing to work for it. Do me a favor, check out some past episodes to prepare for next. I dropped the last episode. I talked about the comfort trap. So do me a favor, check out that episode too if you find yourself getting a little too comfortable with where you're at. But as always, like I said, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. I love you guys. I support you. I believe in you and your dream. Now, let's go make it happen. Dominate your day.